Hi guys, welcome back to Yellow Cottage Soapery. I thought I would do a quick video on how I make my fluffy whipped soap. I've been testing it for a little while and kind of tweaking my recipe to get it exactly how I liked it. And I finally have done that. So I just kind of wanted to show you how I make it. And I can share the recipe. I don't mind doing that if anyone is interested. Now, the base that I use is this foaming bath whip base from, well, it's from Wholesale Supplies Plus, and I measure it out first in my container. Now, I have sprayed everything down with rubbing alcohol, the bowl, the mixer. Now, this is my third batch of these, so I've just have everything set up, and I've already pre-measured my liquid oils, and I'll tell you what they are when I get to that point and how I do it. So if I want to do 2 8-ounce jars and 2 4-ounce jars, I figured that I need about 16 to 17 ounces of the foaming bath whip. So I just go ahead and measure it here in my bowl. This is not the best spoon for this. I need a better spoon. Now this is an 8-pound bucket, and it doesn't last very long, so next time I order it, I'll get a bigger container. Okay, that's 16. I'm going to do 16.75. The reason being is because I did 16. I've done 16 in the past, and I feel like it's just not quite enough to fill the last container. So I just go ahead and add a tiny bit more of this. Now my liquid oils and my fragrance, I go ahead and mix it all together at once. And what I do after I get this in here, I go ahead with my mixer. Now this mixer is just used for my Bath and Body products. I do not use this in my kitchen. You don't want to use the same one. So I'm going to go ahead and whip this, and I'll probably forward the video while it's whipping. And then I'll show you how I add the liquid oils. And it takes about, I just look at it honestly, you can kind of tell that it's just getting really nice and fluffy, maybe less than a minute. And then I add my liquid oils, and you can see it starts to firm up a little bit, and it's more piping consistency. And that's actually how I get it into my, how I get it into my container is I pipe it. Let me show you. These are 2 that I just did. This is the 8-ounce, and this is the 4-ounce. And this is Mermaid Kisses. It's a really, really great fragrance. And I just make them a little bit higher so that when I put the top in, it kind of smushes down into the spaces. So go ahead and mix this up, and I'll probably forward the video, and then I'll show you when it's ready what I do. Okay, I went ahead and moved I just stopped it and went and moved my camera over here so that you could see better, kind of when it's getting a little thicker. Now when I mix it, I'm mixing it on about 6, and I'll stop it and I'll let you know how long it's been. Okay, so it's been about a minute, and you can see this is what it looks like. And when you pick up your beater, you can see that it's formed a stiff peak down there, and that's what you want. So now is when I go ahead and add my liquid oils. Now, I told you I have 16 to 17 ounces of the bath whip in here. So I have figured it so that to get the consistency and everything that I want, I add, let's see, I do 0.25 ounces of coconut oil. I do 0.66 ounces of jojoba oil. Now that is a more expensive oil, so You can substitute that with rice bran is really good. I've done that before, and it makes it really nice. Sometimes I do rice bran, sometimes I do jojoba. This time I have jojoba in here. It's 0.66 ounces. Then I just add 0.20 ounces of glycerin just to give it a little more bubbly. And then I add 0.50 ounces of my fragrance. And I go ahead and I measure all of it before I whip this. I measure all in this container. So then I'm going to keep whipping, and I'm going to slowly add my liquid oils. And it has been 1 minute. It was 1 minute. I stopped it at 1 minute, and so that's how long it took from when I started whipping it until it had the stiff peaks. Now, it might make a difference also if your bath whip is colder and more firm. Mine happens to be pretty soft right now because it's about 74 or 5 in my house. But if you keep it cooler than that, it may take a, the time may vary a little bit when whipping it. But I kind of just do this slowly as I'm adding this, and you'll see that it starts to kind of thicken up and stick to the sides a little bit more. And I have this on about between 2 and 4, I guess. So you can see it starting to stick to the sides. And that's because, the coconut oil is kind of thickening it up a little bit. Now the fragrance I'm using is black raspberry vanilla for this batch. So I'm going to color it just with a little bit of mica. I use such a small amount, I haven't found that it stains the tub or anything like that. So I'm going to go ahead and use a little bit of purple and a little bit of Hollywood pink, and then just kind of pipe them in the containers. So now I'm going to turn it up to about 6, just to make sure everything is blended in. Sorry, my table wiggles. Okay, and when I'm going to do 2 different colors, instead of, using several containers, I will just go ahead and kind of add, it depends on what colors I'm using, but I'm going to go ahead and add some of the Hollywood pink to this, and then I can scoop some out, and I'll go ahead and add some of the purple, so it'll just darken it a little bit. Isn't that white so pretty, though? Now that's a little bit more than I usually add, so let's see. Okay, and at this point you can go ahead and scrape the sides if you want to. Make sure that it's all blended in. I usually kind of just pull it out, and hopefully you guys can see, and just mix it in. I have my piping bag. So I'm just going to go ahead and add however much I feel like. Isn't that a pretty pink? Okay, that's probably good. I'm just going to set that aside for just a second, and I'm going to go ahead in my containers, which I've sprayed with alcohol. Make sure you guys can see. Okay, I think so. My lighting isn't very good. Okay, and I'm just going to go ahead and pipe into these containers. Oh, I did too much. I was going to split them up. Oh, shoot. I just kept going. I was having so much fun. Okay, now they look really cute when you like that, but I'll go ahead and kind of tap it down and then I add more just so I make sure that it's pretty full. So I'm just going to push these aside for a second and pull this back. Now I'm going to go ahead and add just a tiny bit of purple to this just to darken it and kind of give it a little bit of color difference. Alright, now I usually just pick this up and I kind of spin it just to get what's off the end. Sorry you guys, it's spinning my table when I do that, but okay, so I just go ahead and make sure I have as much as I can. And this is still kind of a pinky color, but it's a little bit darker. And just, mix it, hand mix it, make sure all your color in it. You can still see there was a little bit of purple in here that hadn't gotten mixed. So I'm just going to go ahead and mix that in. Okay, push that aside, and I'm going to go ahead and put this in my piping bag so I can pipe the rest. This is kind of a messy thing, but I think it's fun to make. And sometimes, like the last batch, I added the jojoba beads to the top. Sometimes I do that. Sometimes I do a little bit of sprinkles. Okay. Messy, messy, messy. Okay. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and add some to this one that I got carried away with. So with this one, I think I'm just going to add a little bit of glitter, if I can find it. There it is. Okay, so I'll show you a little one. This is the 4-ounce one, and this is the 8-ounce container. And how to use them, you just scoop some out and it'll be nice and bubbly and lathery, and you just clean up with it, or you can use it for shaving. It's really great, and I think the kids will love it. So thanks so much for watching. If you have any questions, leave them down below. If you liked the video, can you give me a thumbs up, and I will see you next time.